Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Faris Khalid and welcome to Eocean Connect, where we speak to industry leaders about their challenges and achievements in the Pakistani landscape. The e-commerce and the fintech landscape. We are very pleased to be speaking with one of our newest partners from Raqami Bank. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Thank you for joining us. And
My pleasure.
as we were speaking before the cameras rolled, I had your profile completely wrong. So why don't you introduce yourself, please, in terms of your profile and
So, name is Babar,
Yes,
Sayyid
yes.
Babar Ahmed, and I have mostly been involved with the telecom industry for the good part of 3 decades or more or less. I have been involved with setting up companies like Mobilink and now Jazz, Warid, and DVCom, which is another company that didn't do so well. And now I'm with a bank, first time around in a bank. And this journey has taken me about 32 years to come to this fruition. So,
and a bank and not just any bank, it's an Islamic digital bank,
yes, it's a perfect storm.
right?
So it's something that our shareholders believe firmly in. It's that would be Kuwait Investment Authority and PKIC, Park Kuwait Investment Company, and they believe that there is a potential for this. In fact, a big blue ocean that is nobody's actually targeting, which is both Islamic and digital in nature. So we figured out in our research that there is a pent up demand for Islamic services, and by Islamic services, of course, I mean Sharia compliant
Yeah.
services, which are in the financial world are growing very rapidly at the pace of 50+% growth rate. And we feel that we and our customers, of course, prospective customers, think that Islamic banking is the way to have the financial services service them in a way which is aligned with their faith. And also, of course, we're digital in nature, so that comes with its own challenges, which means that we won't have any brick and mortar presence, which is kind of new to Pakistan, although it is a very fast growing area in the rest of the world.
Yeah, it is interesting because you do have a lot of conventional banks who are saying that we are pushing digital, but yet they open brick and mortar outlets, and that really says something about the society and the way we operate as a people, right? I mean, you can tick off that box that we do have an app and everything's online, but at the same time, you do need that interaction, that human element, and a physical space.
Look, it's great that they're trying to now come to par with the market dynamics, the changing market dynamics, which is mostly driven by the millennials and the zillennials, which is that they want to have it available whenever they are available, rather than during the office hours
Yeah.
of brick and mortar. But I feel you can't be everything to everyone. You've got to specialize in certain things, and that restricts your ability to service each of those segments in an effective manner. So what we are trying to do is make the whole experience digital, which is not just looking at opening an account, but also dealing with any kind of issues or complaints that you might have with your banking services. And we're trying to do it in a way which is also digital native. So we don't say that we are digital as well. We say we are digital only, which means that our journeys, the customer journeys, are stitched end to end in a very digital, cohesive manner. That they never have to, we don't have a fallback with a form that you can go and drop off in a branch, for example.
Oh, yeah, of course. Okay, so the conversation is interesting from my perspective because there are two aspects to what you do. Like we said, there's the Islamic, and then there's the digital. So let's first discuss the Islamic
Sure.
part because so you mentioned the stakeholders would like to represent the Sharia financing and Sharia banking principles. So is the decision a top down or is it this is what the market wants, log Sharia banking ki taraf hi ja rahe hain, or is it more of a business decision where you like Sharia banking is more viable, or
So
how
I
does it?
would, yeah, I would say that it is. It's a business decision. At the end of the day,
Right.
we're a profit-driven organization, but it is driven by both. What I mean by that is that it is something that is in the market. We feel very heavily influencing people's decisions. Just to quote a quote, which is from our research, is about 60+% people have said that they are wanting Islamic banking
Really?
rather than conventional banking. And amongst those, 68% say they are willing to pay more for it as well, or
So
take less for as in terms of the return on their investments. So we feel that was the starting point, but then capturing that and financing it from the top was also another key attribute to this puzzle,
Right.
which is Kuwait Investment Authority wanted to, and PKIC wanted to see this as an initiative that they could fund, and they've already seen that that being a successful may it be on the brick and mortar side in the shape of Mizan Bank, which they also own 30% of.
All right, of course. So if you have that as your proof of concept, so to speak,
Right.
then at least they know that the market is ready. Is that? Do you think that is why insurance uptake generally in Pakistan is so low as a percentage of its GDP compared to, let's say, India or any other country or the rest of the world? Is it again the cultural thing that this is an un-Islamic product, or
So
it's
yeah,
in
many
principle?
things play into it. So it's if you unwrap, there's 1,000 different things
Yeah.
that play into it, and it's a confluence of all of those. But I think in the Islamic world, of course, there is a significant portion of people who think this is somewhat not aligned with their faith principles, which is making money on money,
Yeah.
or getting paying off interest. Those things are somewhat playing in the minds of people, and that plays there as well as some of the other issues, availability of network, for example, and availability of connectivity,
Right.
or the branches at least being available in far-flung areas of Pakistan, or third world countries, or the merchants taking on as a payment method, digital payments, or being able to finance that in a BNPL manner. So those are all those little pieces of the puzzle that have made that happen.
That's interesting because so that also answers how do you tackle the various sectors that you're dealing with. You initially mentioned that the Gen Z and the Zen Zs and the
Zillennials,
young,
let's
the
call them
zillennials, right?
Yes.
So the younger generation who are on their smartphones all the time, they want everything at their convenience. Lekin आपकी target audience is beyond that, right? When you talk about Sharia compliant banking, is it that same generation that it appeals to and it doesn't matter to, or is that a different segment?
So it's all of the segments are always on the table, right?
Right.
But what you want to do is play it smart and go after people who can adapt or adopt your services first, and that's going to be people who are already digital natives to this, to the phone, to the smartphone, have access to internet and so forth, and have the ability to transfer over digital mediums. And that's who we are going to target
Right.
initially, as well as create the larger ecosystem which exists in the shape of SMEs, which are deeply, in are financed. I think about 6% are basically have working capital available, which is way below
Right.
anywhere else in the world. So we're working on those two initially, but eventually, of course, we'll be targeting the women sector as well as the blue collar workers, and also going forth with the older population and catering to their needs.
So, I mean, a lot of relatively newer banks target this segment because they said they've been cast aside and nobody wants to touch, no conventional bank wants to touch them. And when you speak to a conventional bank, they're like, well, it's for good reason, right? They're high risk. How does a bank like Raqami want to approach that? Because Sure, there are a great number of people in the need of that financial assistance and your services, but they're also high risk because they don't have any kind of. I'm sure the lending is not done against gold. They're young women who are running a little operation out of their house. If the operation goes belly up, what do you do, right?
Absolutely. So yes, there's many challenges to these, but you've got to get into their life space and determine what is available for them. The traditional methodologies certainly don't work for them. For the biggest reason is we don't have a credit rating agency which exists, right? And it's a circular argument because it doesn't exist because nobody's been giving them loans, and therefore they have never created a credit history to be able to fund them anyway.
Right.
So that being said, you have to look at alternative methods or alternative signals, as we call them, to be able to assess their ability to get a loan from us. But also on the other side, nobody's been targeting them with specific products for them as well. So even if somebody wants to go out there and get a savings account open, it is very tough for a student, a person who's running into his first job to be able to go and open up a savings account. First of all, you get a runaround. You get even runaround when you're walking into a bank. As you're
true,
going
that's
from one person to another person to another
That's because
person.
they spend so much money on the brick and mortar. They want you to take a look
Justify
at everything.
it, right?
Yeah.
Justify the cost for it. So, and the costs are exorbitant when you're looking at cost of transaction over the counter. It's in excess of 400 rupees per transaction, which means even if you want to go and to a branch, walk into a branch and say, what's my balance? That just costed the bank 400 rupees, and that's why they don't want these customers whose customer life value might not be that much as much as is to serve them. So it doesn't make sense for them to onboard these type of customers. Their threshold is lower. Now our threshold is going to be better because we're not dealing with those costs, the heavy costs
Right, of course.
that we are dealing with. So we can do those things, at least facilitate the opening of those balances. Now, what they do with those balances or with that banking services is also something which is something that we have to build. We have to be able to build the rails, the end journeys or the end results that they want. And if they want to purchase something online, it should be seamless. Right. Shouldn't have to take 10 OTPs or SMSs and so forth and calls to the call center to be able to transact online.
Right.
Should be seamless and should happen over the phone at the time that they want to. So that's where we have to build that. We have to build partnerships as well. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
So we can't do it all. We may have to rely upon certain organizations that have established relationships. We call that anchor-based financing. Right. So we can use those, like Hubble, for example, and others that we're working with, that can trigger those type of relationships where an existing trust already exists. So that's the sort of journey we're trying to build for a whole array of people.
Sure. So tell us a little about your partnerships with Habal and even with, I think it's with Allied.
Allied
as well.
So yeah, Allied, Askari, we're using their existing infrastructures to build partnerships. We can't overnight change the habits of the customers. We have to start those journeys somewhere. Right. In terms of getting that cash economy to convert to a digital economy. And for that to happen, we need to build partnerships in like-minded partners. And we are using their ATMs. Well, in fact, we're using all banks' ATMs to withdraw funds as well as to deposit funds through their CDMs as well. Right. And I think the State Bank has mandated that more CDMs should be opened up, so that you can get into more of a digital economy where your GDP grows X times as well. So Hubble is one of our first partners. They have existing relationships. They're a very trustworthy organization. Plus, they deal with Islamic financing. So that's again very, very close to our hearts.
Yeah.
Yep.
So coming back to Islamic financing, so what sort of did you have to build new, or you even mentioned that with SMEs you'd have to not customize but at least tailor make products to their needs, like you said, you get into their lives, to see what their use cases are and how to make the finances accessible to them. So I'm sure there was a lot of product development in that space where you had to put yourself in their shoes and say, okay, well, this is what a conventional product looks like to the SME, but if we are to do it, we'll have to do it differently. Was there a lot of re-engineering?
So there was also a lot of rails being built. We had to, of course, we spoke to dozens, if not hundreds of prospective clients in order to find out and understand. We did extensive research on the from SME point of view. There was an 8-month research, if I'm not wrong, and we did the same for millennials, and so forth, youth, younger audiences, to see what drives them. Where
Right.
is it that they are facing challenges or friction in terms of getting a bank account open in the first instance, and then, of course, transacting over that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of journeys which are broken. Maybe they're broken because of certain regulations, and we have to work towards getting those out of the way. And we've worked on a lot of them. So
Right.
we're trying to get an account open, for example, for anyone. A basic account should be open within 1 minute. That's our target.
Right.
So if you are one of those people that has an ID card and a phone and internet connection, you should be able to open up an account in 1 minute, and you should be investing in another minute.
Right, yeah. So I'm sure the GTM for that must be pretty interesting when you go to, let's say, outside of Karachi, and then you're dealing with, let's say, daily wage earners and people who are relatively who don't live in a digital space. So for them, I mean, would there be a lot of hand holding, you imagine, to aapne is tarah karna hai, and these are the kind of messages you'll get, and if you experience any kind of issue, I mean, we're used to that, right? I mean, we're used to digital rejection and acceptance all the time. It's like a weird relationship we have with the internet and apps. We understand each other in some sort of way. But with them, it's like it's a new language, it's a new space.
So not really. I don't think that they are that far out of the digital space as much as they are out of the digital financial space.
Yes.
So they have figured out more or less how to work TikTok, right? Or YouTube.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are also selling or have their businesses based on those tools as well. So
for sure.
we're planning to use leveraging those spaces to first educate and then help them to actually traverse this space or leapfrog that digital divide and be able to transact over this. In fact, we're partnering with the likes of you to actually use AI to be able to bridge some of that deficiencies in understanding and in transactions to be able to get into the financial on WhatsApp.
Yeah. WhatsApp's been a game changer, because the one thing I've learned is, unless it's not a financial app, nobody wants to download a new app. People generally hate it. Like, if you go to them, you're like, but you can do these things. Like, no, give me another solution. They unless it's editing their videos or pictures also. I mean, it really depends on what their function is. So if you use something like WhatsApp, so you're using AI for helping them basically
self-help and so forth. But also our core message out there is we want to be wherever you are.
Right.
So it's not I have a space in DHFA 7 and Brandath Road in Lahore or in F7 Markaz in Islamabad. That's where I have branches and you got to go there. We will be wherever you want us to be. If you're on TikTok, we're there to help you. If you're on Facebook, we're there. If you're on WhatsApp, of course, we're going to be there. We're going to hold your hand. We're going to help you in your complaints. We're going to help you open up your account. We can service you there. We can help you with the transactions as well. So all of those journeys we're trying to build on the spaces that customers are already familiar with.
So I don't mean to put you in the hot seat right now, but there are perhaps a couple that come to mind who've tried that same route. A couple may have been successful, a couple may haven't. Are there any ones you think these guys have been successful, they did it right, and they have a good... Would you like to mention them, or
I think to a large extent somewhat successful has been, of course, the wallets.
Right.
But in the banking space, I don't think there is any bank in Pakistan that has been able to crack this code. And
Why do you
there's, of
think
course,
that is?
legacy issues with that
Right,
as well.
right, right.
But abroad, I've seen a few which have bridged this gap. I think Revolut
Right, yeah.
is
Of
one,
course.
which is great. N26 is another one. Then there's Monzo, that's
Right,
done really
yeah.
well as well. So those are experiences that we want to emulate as well. We
What
want
do
to
you think they
drive
did right
from.
that we haven't been able to?
So they've tapped into a few basic needs. They've started with a specific latent need that, and sometimes it is just refinement of that need. For example, Revolut started with a card which you can travel with throughout Europe now, without any charges. Now that doesn't happen for us because
Yeah.
we don't travel as much, and of course, traveling from Lahore to Islamabad is not going to have any extra charges, and the spaces are far smaller than broad. But it shows that there are latent needs that people have not really thought through
Right.
in being able to tackle them. And I think they've also refined their journeys. And as far as their apps are concerned, they've refined the journeys to the point where it is more natural. You go one step, two step, three step, done. So anytime you go more than three steps is actually where the digital stops and the conventional kicks in. And I think they've done that wonderfully well.
Do you think that it matters? That's dictated by who's running, um, who's running the ship. Because I'll tell you why. Is because I recently watched a video. I can't remember, and they talked about successful businesses in the U.S. and obviously timing is critical,
Critical,
right? I mean, anyway, we won't get into that because that's another conversation. But timing is critical. So certain businesses had done well because they were driven by an engineering thought process, and they said, we'll build a product, and then we'll figure out its commercial viability, and then we'll figure out, the how do you monetize something like this? Maybe even give it away for free so everyone gets it and then add like a subscription model or whatever, as opposed to a businessman like an MBA, who'd be like, what, let's build this product because it'll make me a lot of money. And then you don't really pay attention to the nuts and bolts and the nuances. You're like, well, the business will work, but you're like, you don't understand what's happening under the hood. Do you think that is the case? It's
So I've run 4 businesses of my own so as well. So and I've gone through this gambit as well, and it's different paces for different places.
right.
It's sometimes it is about timing it right. Sometimes it's about building a product, but usually I've seen even with the best of products, they have to pivot somewhere down the
For
road,
sure.
right? And the business is what makes the business work. It's got to be able to make the money to be able to
True.
to sustain it. And whether you're sustaining it through constant injection of money or you are barely breaking even is up to your plans how to go about it. I usually weigh on the side of the business first, then the product.
Right.
The product has to be catering to the need. I think that's where it all begins.
Right.
If you've got an identified need or latent need in the market and a customer identified, the product will make itself. I think the business will work eventually. If you throw enough money at it, the product will get refined enough for the business to work.
Right.
I think the need is the basic, seed because of which the business, establish
Sure.
itself. I think that's my sort of contribution here. But
I have a question about the digital financial products. I think generally a lot of them work like wallets, and they're like, okay, you can pay multiple bills and you can even deposit money in your account and hold it. Some of them even say you can receive, for a lot of freelancers, this turned into a great opportunity for them to pursue work outside of Pakistan because then they could receive money in foreign currency. Obviously, there have been certain regulations that have made it expensive for them.
yeah,
But what about value added? I hate to use that term because it's so stock, but products that could actually educate people. A lot of the people in the tech space talk about digital literacy and financial literacy, but if you're offering the same stock products that everyone else is, which is a wallet and bill payments, there's no literacy as such. I mean, I don't see it because I'm not really learning things about saving or managing a portfolio, or perhaps even looking at how much I spend where, to basically give myself a reality check at the end of the month. Like, you can't spend that much on food. That's ridiculous. You should have like a separate portfolio for saving or investment. So things like that is happen that from what I understand is happening in more developed markets where you've got
Well, you've got competition. So you're actually right in that, we haven't, as an industry, banking industry, financial industry, have not worked hard towards trying to educate the customers of all the plethora of products or services that we can offer. And there's a reason for that. They haven't had to. The problem was that most of the liquidity is actually sucked up by the needs of the state as well. So you don't have to kind of work hard towards going towards a retail business or a retail client.
Right.
And you don't have to work hard, then it's all right. Then you don't need to innovate or create efficiencies in your existing processes.
Right.
And that's been changing over time, so much so that after 2 decades, the State Bank has announced the 5 digital only licenses. So DRB licenses, we call it, digital retail banking licenses. And these are barred from actually doing federal loans. So corporate lending and corporate deposits. And the reason for that is to actually pivot towards the retail consumers, exactly, who have been ignored up till now. And they are the ones who are at the forefront, and we feel amongst the other 4 as well, that these are the ones that are our target markets that we need to build our banks around, rather than the big corporations who already have many choices.
Sure.
And that's great. It's a gravy train that we are part from. So we would like to get into other spaces.
Right. So I think it's a long journey from adoption to then obviously educating people and getting them to adding value to them being a customer and things they can do with it, because then you've got freelancers, you've got students, you've got SMEs, you've got gig workers, so many different people. What is the usually you have a 1, 3, and a 5-year plan. What's the 1 year? Let's start with the 1 year plan.
Anybody who tells you that they can see beyond 1 year is a fool anyway. So
a lot of them did that and they ran off with so much funding. We don't know where they are now. So what's the 1 year plan?
The 1 year plan is to get everything up and ready to be able to address the 3 and the 5 year. Right?
I believe you guys are close. You guys are close.
Yes. So inshallah, we are currently in a pilot phase, which means we have a close user group who's already interacting on the app, testing it out, thoroughly using it for all the use cases that we've built out. And we will be going to State Bank shortly with all of the data from the experiences from this 3-month journey. And they will be allowing us to go forward with the commercial launch. So which should be towards the end of the year, hopefully, and inshallah. But that will bring its own problems, that the large number of customers that we will have to hopefully cater to, but the learnings will also be there as well. So learnings from a few hundred people to a few 100,000 people is completely different.
Sorry, go on.
And that's what we intend to do. We want to be able to have the organization flexible enough to adapt. That's what a digital company does, right?
That's exactly.
You can't see beyond 12 or 24 months, but you can at least have rails built out which allow you to pivot quickly.
Right.
When an organization is, a few thousand people, it's a different way to maneuver. When you're only 100 people, that's a completely different ask.
No, it sounds exciting. I mean, It's definitely, like you said, you've sort of boxed yourself in. You've got the Islamic digital banking, but from somebody who had to sell Bibles, a brown guy who sold Bibles in the US. I think if once you've done that,
Then everything is gravy.
Then everything's gravy. Like that. That's not a problem. Actually, that's how you got your. You mentioned.
Yes,
that's
I got my first job because my
Bibles.
boss also sold children's Bibles back in the US.
This is what.
So did I.
This when was this in the?
This was in the early 90s.
Yeah.
So way back when most people probably didn't have internet. Well, nobody had internet at that time, so
Right, yeah.
it was getting born. But the journey has been quite dramatic for me because in my lifetime I've gone from playing outdoors to now pushing my kids to go outdoors.
Yeah, no, that must be a real challenge. Right?
It is right. It's a learning phase. It's been a great journey up till now, and I hope I can carry that on and push that forward to the next
I think it comes down to the mindset. You have the mindset that I take 2 steps and I can learn from that.
Yeah.
And then like you said, every business should be open to the idea of pivoting. Okay, what do I do now? I can't just continue taking steps in that same direction if the elements aren't in my favor. That's just counterproductive. So if you're like, well, if I need to get from A to B, and maybe I'll just take another route.
You've got to build that rails. Like I said, if you hit your head in the wall is not going to give.
Sure,
right?
sure,
It's only you going to hit.
Yeah,
but you need to build out that resilience in yourself and be open to take on ideas and partnerships which allow you to pivot quickly and efficiently without losing sight of your end goals.
Yeah. No, it definitely. I think it starts with the right mindset. Sure. And if you have that, I'm really looking forward to seeing how things play out with you guys. And Eocean as your partner, we'll be there, and I'm sure we'll be seeing plenty of you in case you need to add to. I was going to say in case the WhatsApp doesn't work, but it's supposed to work. It will work. But obviously, if you need to add things to that,
I'm sure Eocean will be adding not just WhatsApp but other.
Yeah, we've got voice as well.
Right.
There's the SMS, but there's the voice, and then the
So
AI
you need to be,
tools
like I said, you've got to be there, wherever customer is. So in his journey, we've got to stitch ourselves in, not allow him to change his life space for us.
That's what BlackBerry did, right? They just stood by and they just let the tidal wave of innovation just drown them out.
Yeah.
And but now I don't think you have that option, right? I don't think anyone is riding that wave where you're like, well, this is nice. I don't think it's because there's so much changing around you. You're like, you're on your toes all the time. And if you're not, then I think you're a fool.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're not learning, I think you're not just standing still. You're actually going backwards because somebody else is eyeing your job. Or your space, whatever that might be.
Great. Thanks so much for taking out the
pleasure.
time. It's been a wonderful chat. I hope everyone watching this found it valuable. Do stay tuned to and keep watching our channel, Eocean Connect, and also watch out for Raqami Bank. They'll be launching
Inshallah by the end of the year.
Inshallah. Okay, great.
The very latest first quarter next year.
Inshallah. Okay, wonderful. Okay, looking forward to that. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.